Hello, welcome to Blog TV. This is John Doyle Poems, and if you want to find any more of my stuff, I have to get that out first. It's www.youtube.com/user/John Doyle Poems, and you can find my Facebook link on there as well. Right, well, while we wait for some people to turn up, we might as well make use of actually talking into this as it's being recorded, as all my shows are recorded. Let's talk about films, shall we? I've seen two films recently. The first one was Frost Nixon, and the second one was Slumdog Millionaires. You'll be surprised to know that the one I actually preferred was not Slumdog Millionaires. I'll talk about that first, as I didn't like it so much. Obviously, there's been a lot of hype about it, of BAFTAs and is it Golden Globes? No, that's TV, isn't it? And it's up for Academy Awards as well. But I think it's extremely overrated. It's a Danny Boyle film, so his camera work is often, I suppose, what you would call real-life camera work, as opposed to nicely shot, etc. It's a very gritty, very dirty film. I'm surprised India didn't complain about the image that is made. It might be a true image, but nevertheless, the image of India is a bit of a slum, and it certainly does make you feel that as you watch it. It does. It is very grubby looking, is the word, better than using dirty. And it's supposed to be a feel-good movie that makes you feel good. To be honest with you, I came out watching that film not caring really what happened to either of the main characters, whether it was the either of the brothers or the girl. To be honest with you, there was no. I think his name Dev Patel. His acting was it was good. It was realistic, but it was very sort of it had no emotional side to it. It was a bit plain. You know, you didn't. He might have been acting a realistic character as if he was a real person, but it had no, when an actor acts, like when Anthony Hopkins acts, Hannibal Lecter is not how a real serial killer would be, not maybe like that, but it's acting, and acting is slightly not being as realistic. When people are realistic, they tend to be a bit boring. So when people do these real life films, they come across as that. So this was a bit the same with Dev Patel's character. He wasn't really that likeable. You didn't really care what happened to him, and it was nothing sensational about his acting. And the film was not sensational. It was badly filmed, in my view, and that's obviously the only view I can tell, in the sense that it didn't grow on pace. It was because it had a lot of flashbacks, which things like Lost and other programs have done very well. In a film, it's not as great when you have to keep reliving, because it shows. There's spoilers now coming about the film, that his questions that he's asked on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the Indian version, the police are interrogating him. How would he possibly get these answers? And which is a bit of an unrealistic point in the first place, but nevertheless, they keep showing us flashbacks of how in his poor life he came across maybe a bit of trash or something that actually detailed how he got the answer to that question. And because it kept doing that, you kept sort of going, oh no, not back to these flashbacks, and they weren't really that great. And the ending, you thought, it didn't really build up to anything. It wasn't, a big earth-shattering emotional outpouring at the end. In fact, I think the better end would have been that he didn't get the money and got the girl instead, and thus you could have equated the idea, the moral message of it's not money that's important, it's the girl, love, which seemed to be a sort of thing they were playing with throughout the film. But he won the million in the end, and that, I suppose you were supposed to be thinking, yeah, that's brilliant, he actually won and he got to it in the end, and the girl answered the phone, but it didn't really have great much pace in it. It wasn't it was very sort of plain and ordinary directed. And Danny Boyle's films aren't exactly the greatest dramatic, cinematic views, because he's an English-based, not art director, but his films are realistic. He likes to make realistic films, doesn't he normally do Nick Hornby's ones? I'm not sure. Although Denny Boyle, didn't he do 28 Days Later, which is a really great film. I really loved that film, but it's that same view where it's mock documentary style, and this had shades of that. It wasn't really, you know, I know people, actually I did see somewhere that it nearly went to straight to video, and to be honest with you, I wouldn't have been surprised if it had. I'm not quite sure why it's had the great impact. It might be because it's tried to fuse Indian cinema, Bollywood, with English cinema. It's not derogatory as such, like some attempts are to incorporate Indian Bollywood style into the English or Hollywood movies. So maybe that's why it came across very well. But there are a lot better Bollywood movies out there tackling with the same rags to riches, which is basically a rip-off of Charles Dickens' Oliver Twist, that are done better in Bollywood than this film. I don't think it was. I think the plot was not really that strong. If it had been a BBC TV movie, you know, or an hour-long special BBC made-for-TV type thing, I wouldn't have been surprised. That was the script and the dialogue and the film work wasn't anything spectacular. So it is strange to think how. I mean, there must be a lot of shit films out there. You know, that this is the one that's actually might pick up best director and best film. And now back to the next film, sort of Frost Nixon, which, you know, I wasn't sure how that would be because, you know, it's a historical and I'm not really great on historicals, but it looked good. And this is about, obviously, David Frost interviewing Nixon after the Watergate affair. And this film, actually, you do end up caring. And this is strange, really, because at the end, you feel sorry for Nixon. And that goes to show that out of, you know, when Slumdog's Millionaire, I didn't care what happened to any of them in it, to be honest with you. But when it came to Frost Nixon, I was actually, you know, I thought, oh, poor Nixon. And you remember, this is someone who disgraced the American politics and democracy, and yet here I was watching this film feeling sorry for the guy. So it just goes to show how, if you're a good director or a good writer or a good actor, that you can actually get people to empathise about characters you wouldn't necessarily think you would. Same as sometimes you get with serial killers when they do things, you actually feel sorry for them at stages, and you know, so it means you can trick people with films and etc. And it's an art, and unfortunately it's not done in Slumdogs. But Frost Nixon, I would say, was a great film. It is entertaining. It does have that climb where, you know, you think Frost is not going to be able to pull this off, and it does. And it does have that sort of big emotional ending, and it does make you feel good at the end, and it makes you feel you've seen a worthwhile film. It's very well shot, and the acting in it is very good as well, especially the guy who usually plays Tony Blair, but this time plays Frost. It's very good. There's not enough hello, good evening and welcomes in there for my liking, but it is great, and even the guy who plays Nixon, who's not quite Nixon-esque, is really good as well. So, to be honest with you, if you have money to go out to see cinema in this credit crunch, I would suggest you give Slumdog Millionaires a miss and go and see Frost Nixon instead. That's enough film news. This is going to be, when I stop it, uploaded on Facebook and YouTube. Unfortunately, the problem is with that, if you're listening to that, is sometimes when you get guests, obviously if you go and see if you see the video on my Facebook or YouTube, it's better to go and watch it on Blog TV, www.blogtv.com/people/John Doyle Poems, because when you watch it on there, if someone types a message, it comes up on the bottom of the screen, down here somewhere, it comes up with their message. When it's uploaded by Blog TV on on YouTube or Facebook, it doesn't have those bits of conversation. So when I'm talking to people, you won't actually know what they're saying back to me. So it's better if you see them on there, because it's an automatic service that Blog TV set up. It's better to come on and watch the video on Blog TV, because then you get to hear what people are saying. Right, that's enough from me. This has been John Doyle Poems on Blog TV, and take care, take it easy, and peace.